best way to go for them to try and take down these undefeated players.
Well, you mentioned slowing down the early game, and Zyrene talked about Huni liking to counterpick and win lane. The Quinn ban might unlock Fiora for Darshan, but first off, they've got to grab the Graves as the first champion here. Nidalee's available, but not first pick this time around, breaking the trend.
So they still could go with the tank from Smithy and have Graves in the top lane. It is a flex pick. It's a very powerful flex pick.
Yeah.
But it could be a alternate plan here for CLG, and they could go jungle Graves and try to bring the extra damage from Smithy's position.
And we'll see what these guys end up going for. Immortals now to make their choices. Once again, Kindred is up. We see her somewhat frequently in Champ Select, but it's going to be Nidalee for Rain over here. Wants that above the other options. And Eclista for Wild Turtle will allow Adrian to engage or be safe at all times.
Yeah, let's see if he can repeat the success that Darduck showed earlier in game 1 of the day. As you said, though, you know, Quinn being banned out and Fiora still up. Top laner's yet to be locked in. The thing is, we mentioned, you know, oh, yeah, Pobelter's played a different champion every game. He's so diverse. Huni as well has had these counter picks for top lane that nobody saw coming. You know, he had the Cho'Gath, specifically for the Rise. He's really expanded his champion pool since his European days, European LCS days, and it's very scary to early pick a top laner versus Huni at the moment.
But Immortals are red side, so at some point CLG have to show who their top laner is if Immortals want to wait long enough to get Huni his matchup.
Immortals get to choose which solo lane will be counterpicked.
Yeah. Pobelter not the most lane-dominant striving player, but we'll see what he ends up doing in this game. Smithy and who he pick up champions. They're going to pick the bottom lane here for Stixley and Aphromoo. And wow, right away, Soraka and Lux come through. And look at all this poke.
Ooh, yes, that is going to be a scary siege. We again get to see Adrian Soraka as well. Not only is it a lot of poke, but it's a lot of sustain so they can keep the siege up. Kalista being locked in very early as well means that they will be able to save the Soraka. So Soraka becomes even more annoying because usually, like, okay, Soraka, she's super annoying, she can heal her teammates, but there is, you know, counterplay. Of course, we want to target her. Yeah. We want to try and burn her down. Now if you target her, Kalista's going to yank her out of the fight. Yep. And make it even worse for you.
And Nidalee can even heal her to top her off. Like, how are you going to get through that when
heals
one
on
heal from
heals?
Nidalee?
Oh my god. It's actually so much more efficient. They can funnel Reignover's heals into Adrian to multiply,
heal on a 1.1
the health they're getting out of it.
Oh, it's great. This sounds so much fun. I would love to play against this in solo queue.
Now,
the difficulty is there's no tank, so those heals aren't super efficient.
They're building, exactly. They're building a healing machine here from Immortals.
This.
But they want to throw a cog into the...
Yeah, so support Braum, Zillion mid, Rise top, jungle Graves. That's the comp here from CLG. We already knew where Lucian was going. That was the only one that wasn't obvious.
This is interesting because they will have the Zillion revive, which will probably be used on Rise, who wants to get close to get off all the damage. You know, does have the possibility of getting burned down, but it looks like they're going to have to use the revive on whoever gets hit with a binding and picked off here. So we'll have to see how well Aphromoo can position, try and block spears with the Braum.
Yeah, this will be fun and this will be interesting.
It's definitely going to be the jungle Graves, though, for Smithy. So this is going to be the first time in a while they haven't had him on Cinderhulk and on that front line.
Pobelter continues his trend of playing a different champion every single game here in the North American LCS. 7 champs in 7 games. Huni, of course, repeating his Cho'Gath up against Rise, so nothing new there. It's kind of what's expected. CLG said they were going to be okay with it.
Yeah, the big AoE silence plays a huge part in it. Also, you know, the Rupture can be placed behind Braum. So Cho'Gath not really worried about the Braum. He's entirely unaffected into the back line.
Yeah. Only his E gets blocked, and that's not the most important thing here. So yeah, Cho'Gath gets to be immune to that kind of stuff. Everyone else should be pretty happy. This could be quite the interesting game here. Immortals have the one super tank and a bunch of heals to pile in with a very scary, very poke-focused backline. Counterlogic Gaming take a page from GBM's book, and they run the Zillion, but this time not with like a Poppy and another frontline diver. It's all about keeping the Rise afloat to deal 1 million damage. Triple backline here, Rise, Graves, and Lucian. And if they can keep that afloat, this could be very scary. So CLG with a very unique take on a composition.
Yeah, there's a lot of early game damage floating around in this game. So talking about trying to slow down that early game, they're definitely going to have to watch out for Rainover on the Nidalee and hope that he doesn't get that early lead, because this could snowball very quickly whenever you're running this much damage on both sides.
Absolutely. So it's going to be a very fun one to watch for. Don't miss any of the kills. Send your votes on Twitter. Hashtag CLG winner. Hashtag IMT win. The lineups are on your screen. The players are ready to go. Immortals could make it 7-0, or CLG could be the first team to topple this Goliath. Here we go into the game.
All right, let's take a look. Styx and Aframu also with the classic Lucian plus Braum combo. If there are lane swaps, Lucian plus Braum is such a good combo at chasing down kills in the long lane. Immortals are going to have to be careful about that. CLG, if they play as they usually have, they'll go for an early invade for the deep wards to try and set up the possibility of their lane swap. I don't know how confident Darshan is in the Ryze Cho'Gath matchup. I know that he's seen it already, and so he can have prepared some practice with it.
I'm surprised CLG didn't step on the Nidalee trap there. They were spotted invading. And Darshan didn't even get 3 gold for that.
I mean, that's confidence, though, to walk forward through the rupture and get your auto attack off, I guess. We're trying to read into the first early movements. But yeah, classic CLG gets their deep wards down, and gonna have Graves, Braum, and Lucian all top. They did not step on the trap because they're going to use it to their advantage.
Use it to deal like 40 damage. I'm actually going to look at the amount it deals.
Well, it also will delay the minute damage that the small Krug
It won't chase in. It'll be rooted, so.
Oh, this actually could be more enticing.
Oh, this could be
talking about Braum plus Lucian chasing down kills.
Hits Wild Turtle, gets a heal, flashes away to stay alive. And that is flashed down, but after will take quite a bit of damage. And CLG have to be kind of worried about this. Of course, the Krug's leash to the right, because that's where Nidalee was, and she's the one who aggroed them technically. Slightly slow start from the CLG duo lane. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they can capitalize on that flash, because it is the Kallista's flash, and now Adrian's just going to play far back in the lane and try and spam heals, save all his health to help out Turtle.
Oof. Styx taking the damages, but he's going to be okay. Missed 1 CS in the first wave. Wild Turtle gets them all. And we are getting ourselves into the game. Now we have mirrored lanes, of course. So Darshan is 1v1ing Huni. Neither did very heavy leashing for each other's junglers, so they're just getting full XP.
Yeah, interesting, because the junglers starting on opposite sides here. Rainover has a chance to influence the Ryze lane early. And you always talk about getting Ryze behind early, attacking him while he's trying to ramp up, while he's building, before he has a chance to build all of his mana items and become that huge threat. With the crowd control setup possibilities from Cho'Gath, Rainover could make an early visit down there from right behind Darshan and maybe blow his flash early. Huni has been accurate, although he's not rewarded with much damage since it's level 1.
Huni buying time. Sometimes you can time the knockup to make him miss CS, get him out of range with the slow and everything. Otherwise, he's not getting a whole lot done.
Also, you can also fish for player tendencies early on in the lane. Try and see which way your opponent will dodge.
You know, Riv did that in the Bilgewater Brumble.
Yes, I know.
Yep.
And he kills you.
Yep.
Because he noticed your patterns. Rainover is going for the early move down bottom. Maybe they'll get a
knock up on Darshan. A lot of damage. Rainover, though, can't stay because he is here.
No root comes out from Darshan. Did he even have it? Yeah. Okay.
He might have been, I think, silenced during the whole thing, and Rainover got away as fast as possible to not get chased down.
True.
And he should have landed the full combo there. So tricky things, but yeah, some damage dealt. And crucially, Huhi's TP is now down. He's missing XP and gold in the wave. He's going to come back now for the second half of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because even though CLG lane swapped, Rainover still has a huge early game presence because it was answered up top. And he does get out a large cooldown from CLG, but not rewarded with the first blood this time around. Rainover has gotten first blood for his team, or assisted in it every single game that Immortals have played.
Pretty insane. Easy shield from Pobelter. Doesn't really take any damage there. The trade of mana is actually in Pobelter's favor, and he'll regen the rest of that health back up. No big problem. Who he forced...
Big problem.
That like 50 gold. Rainover actually takes away the Raptor. Perfectly plays around Huhi's bomb tendencies. Beautiful stuff there.
Rainover going to try and continue pressuring this Rise early. They're not even going for really a kill here, just the pressure to make him miss CS. Even with Smithy coming bottom, it would be hard to salvage that CS. And maybe he'll even have to face check. Okay, so teleport is burned. Rainover already backing. Darshan will be fine.
Yeah, TP's on a minion to make sure he doesn't miss any XP, but takes 400 damage as a payment for that. Maybe not ideal, because now he chugged a potion, and that already pays for the minion he would have gotten. Not too big of a deal, though. Immortal's on a slight gold lead here, most of that being the Nidalee tax, as she exists in the game and farms really well.
Got to point out here how well Pobelter is working around the bombs. Because you see the harass, and like, oh, nice good chunk there. But while he's landing skill shots and focusing on landing his abilities, he's also working around the zone that the bombs have created. He was able to dodge both bombs there to come out with a very, very profitable trade for himself. Rainover continues aggressive jungling here, taking away Smithy's topside jungle. Rainover has been able to earn himself a lead over Smithy already, and Smithy is coming to the side of the jungle, so he will be in a hole, wasted a lot of time, plus the Wolf scouts him out, so Rainover knows not to go too deep. They've called Lux up.
They want this one to happen. All five could be around, and Rainover's going to get hit up on the Braum Q afterwards, puts the shield up, holds in front. Smithy on the wrong side of this one, gets cut down for first blood, and yet again, Rainover, 7 for 7, getting his team first blood.
And Pobelter roams up first on the Lux. Smithy walks right into him. Easy binding land there. And Immortals clean up the first blood, keep their streak alive. Oh, no, man. The Wolf was following Smithy the entire time. Pobelter just happy to land that one.
And it's going to mean outer turret goes down here, so good stuff by Immortals. They give the gold over to Huni. $345 for him. Or gold, I suppose. Summoner's Rift is in America or something. Actually, a lot of countries use dollars.
I was going to say they have,
Canada, Australia, Hong Kong.
Oh, here comes the Braum Lucian. It's not the long lane, though, because they do have turrets, so Flash will be enough to get Huni back to safety. He does have to blow an important summoner, though. All right, Pobelter's trying to get the Frost Queen's Rush going here for the Lux to get his poke game moving. And that is definitely one way to snowball this game for this comp. Trying to get those Frost Queens just to set up the pick. Since Rainover is also having a good early start for himself, if you land the binding, there's a lot of long-range damage that can come out of Immortals.
Whoa, aggressive stuff here, but Adrian right next to the turret is going to keep that from being anything there. Huni took some damage from a Braum Q, and they could have went for the trade, didn't choose to do that. Pobelter gets the blue buff at 8 minutes, and it's pretty easy to play Lux. Now, interestingly, is still going Frost Queens on Lux. Of course, you got to make sense. You have a slows. You can set up for your own bindings, but
I mean, you got to wait 30 seconds longer for it to come off, but that's about it.
Yep. And the opportunity cost of getting a cheaper Merlinomicon.
Interesting here how, though, even though Immortals tried to match the champion allocations of CLG in the lane swap, they're going to give up that top turret because Huni plus Soraka still not enough to wave clear. Meanwhile, down bottom, CLG have opted to keep Darshan down solo to try and hold on to this turret. And even with Rainover hopping over the wall and CLG getting vision of him, Darshan leaves the turret, so CLG are going to just give that bottom one up, it looks like.
Yeah, giving up pressure for now, but with Wildcard being alone, Darshan is safe in that lane for the time being. Nice binding by Pobelter, auto attack into a shield to keep alive. And should blow up the E pretty conveniently. Already has ulted anyway. Now for the fight in the top lane. Huni is alone. Aftermoon takes aggro, but does not get stunned. Crucially, that'll be the kill going over. Maybe after the wish. Smithy gets it with the red buff.
Meanwhile, down bottom, the exact same situation. CLG are trying to hold on to their turret in a greedy fashion as well, and Darshan's going to get dove.
Knocked up by Adrian. Turret aggro goes to the Soraka. Not super efficient. There's the dive. There's the kill. And he missed the ulti. He TP'd in, but only got it on himself. Could not save Darshan.
We're going to have to do a really slow-mo replay to see if the teleport completed before Darshan died. He could have been spamming it on the position that Darshan was, and Darshan was just dead by the time he landed, and so he clicked on his own model. But the way to ensure that doesn't happen is you spam click it on the champion models that are above your mini-map.
Yep.
So that way, you don't waste your cooldown when you get in there immediately, and you have guaranteed, if you're there in time, you get it off.
Yep, absolutely the case here. So unfortunate stuff, Counterlogic Gaming unable to revive that one.
So yeah, Darshan's trying to buy time for the... You see he's clearing out the wave, but he doesn't clear the last main
It's a really
either.
late TP, too.
He gets out of the silence. Okay, so here comes the TP. Darshan's alive, dead. Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
he had no chance to get that off. So it wasn't like a misclick or anything, but if he had been spamming the model over your mini-map, then yeah, at least could have held onto the cooldown. It won't be a big deal, but
Yep.
meh.
Yeah, just unfortunate.
Things to learn.
TP felt late as well. That would have been enough to save him on top of that. But all said and done, Immortals doing quite well for themselves. 1,500 gold up, pressuring the lanes quite nicely. Nice micromanagement there by Huhi to make sure the bomb kills off the cannon. But Immortals are doing quite nicely for themselves. Turrets are equal, but it's a farm lead and it's a turret lead. Or sorry, a kill lead.
Yep. And some deep wards as well from both teams on the side where they took turrets. Rainover, I think, was seen by the ward, and that's why Darshan is backing off right now. You can see Darshan backing off in the long lane. Rainover, I think, was seen by the super deep wards that have now expired, that were on both sides of the secondary Turk that CLG took.
And you can see him, yeah, having to play very far back. Rainover hopes that Gromp was up. It wasn't, but puts some traps down to keep spotting Smithy as best he can. Nothing to clear for this Nidalee at all, so just puts his wards down and leaves. Tracker's Knife, Runic Echoes, and his cooldown boots in tow. Pretty standard build for Nidalee right now.
Yeah, it's actually interesting how much...
Ooh, nice play. He gets the bombs over the wall. You see that? He trinket wards the lane and hides behind a cliff. And he gets that one-way skill shot line of sight advantage.
Yeah. I'm trying to already imagine how these team fights are going to go, because we're moving fairly quickly towards the mid-game. CLG, obviously, right now, what they want to do is just let Ryze farm up. They've got Ryze in the long lane. Darshan is just trying to soak minions at the turret. They want to keep it there. So their goal for right now is, while he's farming up, to just hold the rest of the map and not allow Immortals to make a play, but they're going for a play.
Soraka missed the knockups. He's behind the team now, but look at that, a huge knockup by Huni. Here comes the team. A Glacial expands, buys some time. Adrian will get picked off, has his Soraka KDA, and Darshan in the back line with Stixay picks up 3 kills in this fight for just the one of Immortals, and now Counterlogic Gaming running for their lives. They're low on health, but a good fight by the blue team.
Yep, CLG were able to collapse here and save a life with Huhi's ultimate. Darshan gets it!
Huni's almost in range. He can kill off Stixay. Rune prisoned up, walks in, noms him down, gets the kill, and now Smithy's gonna get slowed. That means a silence. That means not quite a knockup. Pobelter gonna pick up Huhi. Overextension by CLG. They're gonna lose 3 of them for no reason at all. Darshan now to clean up. He's gonna get 2 back. What a weird fight.
Darshan wins the Hunger Games. He's the final survivor. And CLG stick around, losing so many to the solo laners of Immortals. Pobelter and Huni picking up the slack there out of what was a huge win for CLG. But look at this, so much zones that you have to keep an eye out here. First of all, Huni with a huge knockup, and then Braum lays down a great ultimate to control that the middle pathway here. Pobelter actually tries to fire the laser down the exact same pathway. They end up getting the flash early, but here's where Stixay's farming minions.
I think he knows he's dead.
I mean, Darshan is trying to, zone Huhi for him, but unable to get him out. Yeah, maybe he was already cornered. He was just trying to get some money. But this is the re-engage by Smithy, sort of there. Frost Queens do come out. Pobelter gets the... Ooh.
Yeah, he spots who he
That was actually a really dirty flash bind there from Pobelter. Flashing away and firing the bind the opposite direction, landing it on Smithy. But in the end, Darshan gets the last laugh. Ryze with 3 kills now. Completed tier, completed rod. Pretty early progression for that Ryze, considering it was a lane swap.
So Rift Herald picked up for Counterlogic Gaming on the back of that. That fight went 5-4. Immortals, though, with the only dragon kill of the game and still on 1,000 gold up.
Also, as you can see there, with the purple flowers around Stixay, they picked up the Rift Herald for CLG. Or did you just say that? Is that why you looked at me? Okay.
Yeah. but you told me who it was on. I didn't see which champion had it. So you added value, Kobe.
Purple, baby. All right, well, CLG going for a dive.
Oh, Rainover's taking so much punishment. Peltzer and Adrian keep him alive for now, and now Aframu's on the wrong side. Gets rooted up. Zillion revives just in case.
This is actually hilarious. One team has Zillion, one team has Soraka. Both teams saving the lives of their teammates over and over. Darshan presses past the turret.
Heavily aggressive. Adrian jumps in and saves his life. Flash and exhaust used, but that's a kill. That's two, actually. Wild Turtle off the over-aggression of CLG. Picks one up now, a two-man knockup thanks to Fate's call, who he's in the wrong spot of this one. Easy pickup for Pobelter, a 3-for-0 to Immortals. Rainover still on the chase. Smithy pretty durable, but not after that binding. That's going to be 4 people picked up.
That was a 4 versus 5 Immortals win. Huni is pushing an open lane right now, so they're also getting free farm on Cho'Gath. He gets to freely stack his ultimate as well. A lot of value out of the free health that Cho'Gath gets by getting to his 6 stacks on Feast, and Huni is huge right now.
Well, it's going to be a rough game now for Counter Logic Gaming after that. Pretty rough, but here comes the attempt. They want back in. Double bomb's going to be a 2-man stun. That is huge. Adrian will go down first. No one to heal. Now can they get Pobelter? 2 hits on the passive. There's a bomb. They get the 4th, but there's not enough damage to kill him off. Rainover's here to defend. A good shield by the Lux keeps him alive.
All right, so it's the other teleport that comes in. He's able to get in there and get 1 kill back, but that is very little gain for CLG, considering what they just gave up.
Yeah.
In the top lane dive, Darshan just getting very, very confident with how he was able to pin up so much money after the last fight. Way past the turret, and it costs Aframu his life. It ends up costing Huhi his life as well, as he gets hit with that binding and is unable to escape. Also, since Zillion's ult is down from the mid lane where he had to use it to try and save Aframu, I believe. Immortals with the cleanup here. Huge chase.
Yeah, good tenacity by them to get all 4 in the chase down. CLG didn't have the wards to know that the rest of the team was right around the corner. If Immortals weren't there, that was a clean 1-for-0 and a turret, but that wasn't the case.
So much action in the game with 4 Rod of Ages champions all stacking up. And the tier. This time, though, it's Immortals who have the double Frost Queen's claim. Huni's built his own, so he can set up his own ruptures. Pobelter and Huni both trying to set up their skill shots with Frost Queen's ghosts. And it has worked so far. Pobelter's Lux has been very, very accurate. As far as the early game trash talk that we saw going on in the videos, Pobelter seems to have the advantage so far.
Yeah, really nice stuff. I believe he was characterized as he's going to sit in lane more and not try to roam as heavily, and yet he's still got 6 out of 10 in the kill participation. Not bad at all. He's been part of quite a few of these fights.
Lux doesn't have to run too far to be able to contribute.
That's true. Just walk into the river and you're good to go.
All right, so both teams, like I said, have the double Rod of Ages, so both are trying to stack up. Really, it's how do you play the team fight when there's so many zones of control to look out for on both teams? I mean, it's just ridiculous what goes on when you fight in a jungle corridor, when Graves, Zillion, Braum are on one side, but the other side has Lux and Cho'Gath. So both teams are looking for these funnel points, and it really becomes who makes the big mistake of funneling and gets hit with the AoE first.
So then watch out CLG and watch out Immortals. There is pick potential here on both sides. Aframu and Smithy play the ward control game, but Agent does the same and just puts the ward right back down. Rainover gets rid of a blue trinket, throws a javelin, doesn't hit anything just yet. But certainly still a pretty close game here. 4,000, not the biggest lead, certainly sizable.
Yeah, as far as Immortals leads go,
one of the smaller ones.
This is definitely not going to be, one of the quick games for them. We talk about 6-0 all the time. Immortals have actually had some close games where they were behind even.
TSM being, I think, one of the super close ones. And also, I guess, Energy, they were down in gold in the mid-game. The turret pushing at the poke comp worked quite well. Here comes 2 sets of spooky ghosts. It's twice as scary, and Huhi is twice as slowed, and now twice as binded, and twice as dead. Just kidding. Actually, if he does get taken down, he would be twice as dead. That would kind of work out, but he stays alive. The siege resumes. Double Bomb says no thank you. Cast minions are gone. Those are twice as dead. Rainover, Krug buff, true damage. Chunks the turret a little bit more. More wave clear, just circles from far away. Huni and Pobelter making their own Venn diagrams over time.
All right, here comes the next line. Stixay gets
Pulling,
really
but be
close.
careful. Rainover goes right in, and there's no revive up, so Smithy's got to be real careful. A lot of damage comes through. Turret goes down. Huni getting healed up in the front lines. They chase him, but they can't get it. And Rainover, no! He gets stunned before he can get the execute. Over-aggression, the name of the game. These guys will not die unless they overdie.
These are honestly the most fun team fights to watch, as both teams have to worry about these giant fields, and then there's the Soraka plus Zillion surprise that are getting other people to overcommit multiple times from both teams. And this time around, CLG is the one to come out with the extra kill, even though Immortals actually get this turret down. So Stixay is baiting here. He gets hit with the spear. Rainover comes in. They're able to barely dodge that rupture from Huni, and Smithy stays alive to deal a ton of damage to Huhi on the exit. Stixay, very quick flash, and just barely they get off the auto on Rainover to take him down. No Zhonya is completed for him, and doesn't look like he's going to build it either. Opting for the Abyssal, I think. Third item here.
That's what it looks like. It's pretty magic damage heavy. I mean, it is double marksman by CLG, but Rise and Zillion definitely have some burst.
Both teams are very magic damage heavy.
Yep.
Even though there's a double marksman on CLG, solo laners at this stage in the game do a tremendous amount.
I mean, quite a lot. Mercury tries to pick up for Darshan. Makes sense with all the roots and such. Swiftys can help you run away from him, but just getting out of him might just mean a little bit more. Huhi playing defense as best as he possibly can. Bombs and autos, keeping that one all right. Starting to lose out on CS a little bit. Eventually it gets hard for Zillion to knock down minions properly with the delay on Time Bomb.
Yeah.
So you'll see him start to bleed away CS.
I actually thought that he had gone for the tier into Rod build, but it looks like he even skipped that early game.
Yeah, only Darshan got tier.
So
Rod that Morello's looks like for Huhi. I think getting into that CDR is so important.
Morello's is so good after the buff. The 6.2 buffs to Morello's and Athene's are huge, I think. Not only, was Frost Queen's lowered a little bit in value due to the 30-second nerf, but the buff to Athene's and Morello's is really huge. I think pretty much all AP mid laners are going to be getting one of those items nowadays.
Definitely seems like it. But they just play the wave clear game once again. I think at a certain point these teams realize that these dives aren't very successful. The ability to save one another.
Yeah.
Right? Dives work because you have exactly enough damage to kill them off, but then you're in a bad position, but it's 4v5, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But these people aren't dying, so you're just like 1v5 and getting killed.
You rely on the numbers advantage after the full commitment into the center of the team.
So seeing how these teams adapt throughout the game is going to be interesting right now, though it's still 6,000 up for Immortals. Definitely a sizable one. One that CLG has to respect. Yeah. But you have Rise, and gold deficits don't mean as much when you have Rise. And Kalista as a champion, not as good of a late game resolution. Has to be in Rise's range to do anything ever in a team fight, really. And that can be scary. Aegis in for Adrian.
Yeah, it's also really hard for Kalista to fight a team that even has Rise on it. Since Kalista has to get so close to him, I mean, Darshan's going to be very, very scary for Turtle.
Yeah, so Turtle goes Maw second, or third rather. I think it's actually very smart to identify that Turtle needs some kind of durability against.
Whoa, this is a quick Baron start here. Huni's walking up as well. They're definitely going to have to peel off.
Yep. They're aware, but it at least makes CLG check and stay on their toes.
Yeah.
Good reaction by CLG. Not too much loss by Immortals. They run away quickly.
Triple scrying orb here from CLG. It's going to be hard to pull that off.
It gives away positioning, though. Look at this mid lane.
Huni's got decent wave clear, and they've got Lux on the way. I don't think they should suffer too many.
Yeah, you're right. Couple hundred damage in the turret, but otherwise they're fine. Darshan, rooted up. Looks like they're okay. All right, mid lane defended properly. Well done, Immortals, but that does give positioning now back over towards Dragon. Immortals got the first two, but now CLG will get the first one of themselves.
Yeah, for just the attempt on Baron, CLG are going to be able to claim a Dragon for themselves, which is actually significant. We've so often we downplay Dragon in this season, but number one, as always, that 6% is very big now, since everyone's on their 2-item power spike. So at 24 minutes, it's actually a very significant gain there for CLG that they didn't have to give anything up for.
Yep. Totally agree. About 2,000 gold worth of stats around mid-game. That's roughly the number you're looking at. And that's being fair with it and only counting AD on AD champions and AP on the AP champions. It's certainly sizable.
Yeah.
And it, in a way, closes the gold lead, or at least removes the extra benefit that they had from those bonus stats.
Yeah. Now I'm just looking to see if CLG have options besides a team fight, because both teams have so many team fighting, abilities that they can pull off if, if one does get the good AoE or one has vision advantage to get the initiation. But CLG, this Rise might get to the point where he can also be a split pushing threat. It's so scary to ever try that because there are 2 Frost Queens on the map, and picking off somebody in a long lane is pretty easy with that, especially with Nidalee running around with so much mobility.
Speaking of mobility,
I think it's going to just come down to an outplay in a team fight.
Oh, silence on Smithy. He's going to get knocked up. There's the burst in!
Oh.
And he's going to get revived if he takes enough damage, but he's actually not getting hit anymore, so he's going to have to run away with 12 HP.
Yep, nobody actually ends up dying, but 2 members of CLG are pretty much out of the fight. Aframu is so low. He's not going back, though, because of the threat of that Baron, and Immortals aren't going to go for it. CLG have wards.
Ooh, he tried to heal off Relic Shield stacks, but he couldn't execute them properly. The damage was too high from the rest of the team.
And both Frost Queens were used at the same time to try and get that pick, so no Frost Queens are available for the re-engage pick.
They're playing the Baron bait. There are 2 blue trinkets up, though. CLG should not have to face check this one. They should be okay. And in fact, that bait doesn't turn into anything just yet. Huni and Rainover push in the mid lane. The rest of the team piles in as well. After we got time to recall, he's going to heal back up. He's going to be okay. As he goes towards Locket, an item that Adrian already has.
Starting it up.
Here's the attempt.
They've got Stixay's blue trinket available. He's really far, though.
Still a lot of damage being taken on this Baron. Down to half HP, but now regenning back up. They let it drop aggro.
Oh, they started up again.
But now they're taking a lot of damage. Adrian's going to run out of health eventually.
Yeah, it's
doing this.
It's taking its toll on Adrian, but he's chugging potions. He's getting right back. Oh, Rainover.
I guess Rainover can heal everyone as well, so that attrition actually takes much longer than you might expect.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if they use their health funnel of Rainover healing Adrian into Adrian healing whoever else. Since Soraka's cooldown is so low, they almost never have to have Rainover heal himself as long as Adrian's near him, and they can get a lot of value.
Yep. Adrian is already cooldown capped. He just bought his last CDR item with the Forbidden Idol.
Oh, yeah.
Could be Ardent Sensor. I like that item a lot.
He also
being it.
went for the combiner there of the Oasis.
Yeah, Talisman of Ascension doesn't seem to be really needed for this team, as they've got enough ways in anyway, using binds more than running at you.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll see them start to stagger their Frost Queens.
Yeah.
Since there are so many opportunities for re-engagement, since both teams do have these heals or revives to save people. Now it's CLG starting it off, though. Immortals in the area. And they've got 1 Frost Queen's hit.
Oh, the knockup on a Hoo-Hee. They don't have the range to quite pile onto him just yet, though. The CLG trying to take control back of this river. You've got to be so afraid of Immortals, though. They've got so much long-range burst.
Yeah. And even the poke damage here. CLG do not have the heals. It's Immortals who have the double heals. CLG only have the full revive for an all-in commitment. In the small poke wars, Immortals are going to get the edge. Smithy hopes that Baron tags him. Does a little bit to Rainover.
But CLG got ward control back over the Baron pit. They're doing a good job of fighting back this healing poking team. I mean, how hard is it to really keep on the map against light bindings, javelins, and 2 healers? But CLG are doing it.
Yeah. You have to do a lot of dodging and a lot of ward control here. Meanwhile, Huni is actually a full level above Darshan right now. And the lead is growing. A level and a quarter for Huni on the Cho'Gath. So he's getting to level 16. He'll be there way before Darshan. And that's really big for Cho'Gath.
Yeah. It's a fast Cho'Gath, too, dude. He picked up Luden's Echo. This is full AP Cho. Huni has got no resist at all, which goes back and means the heals actually aren't worth as much as you would have thought.
Yeah. It also means they don't have a front line. I mean, you can... CLG can very easily just focus front line.
If they have the time to do the sustained damage, yes. Wildcoder wants it, both are flashes, he binds Aframu, who's got the revive on, so he's going to go back up, and now Adrian finds Stixay, the silence, the QS has the dash away, he's got to run fast, and now Huni caught up by Huni, Stixay goes down to Wild Turtle, and he's going to push in now for Smithy as well. That'll be the kill picked up, a double for the Immortals AD carry. 3 kills overall in this fight. That will mean Baron.
That is going to be a very easy Baron here for Immortals. They finally did get their pick. The Frost Queen spam. Lux is able to find them. And that's a very easy collapse. Now, how many turrets will they be able to get, though? CLG are going to try and hold on to their inhibitors, at least. Their inhibitor turrets, I think Immortals should have a pretty easy time of zoning CLG off of these two outer turrets, mid and bottom, just because there's so much spam that comes out of the Spears, Lux, as well as Cho'Gath at the turrets. It's very dangerous for CLG to try and defend those. But here it is, Wild Turtle initiating with the Kalista, and the flash from Pobelter to land on Aphromoo. Even though they have the revive, it doesn't do anything except delay his death. Then Turtle, with Adrian at his back healing, 2v1s into the enemy jungle here, and Turtle takes down both enemy AD carries, proving superiority. And the Kalista chase there.
And they're going to push in. The question is, how many turrets can they get? We're looking at mid lane tier 2 right now. Wild Turtle getting harassed down under the turret. Who he knocked up, who he nearly gets killed, but he gets the ulti off in time to not be killed for real. Revives back up. Minions are dead. Immortals have to kind of backdoor this. The cannon is actually too far away to remove the armor from this, so it's a slow process. But here's the next wave. This should be the turret kill. This should be number 1 for Immortals.
This comp from Immortals, though, is like a classic siege where they starve you out. Although CLG can dodge skill shots for a while, eventually something hits and they run out of health. No more provisions. Meanwhile, Immortals have a constant supply coming from the Nidalee plus Soraka, and they just slowly work their way inside.
There you go. Mid lane inhibitor gone. 31 minutes and change. Immortals looking to continue the streak to 7 wins in a row without a loss. As they push in towards bot lane tier 2, that wave is pushing up. Immortals can just cut off the CLG wave, ensure that everything goes according to plan. Full health turret's not going to be that way for long.
Yep. Number 2 outer should go down as well. So, man, Immortals didn't even stop at outers trying to gain money. They're taking inhibitors very early on. The supply line still holding strong for them, and CLG can't hold out.
A lot of damage done. Who inhibitor gets healed right back up. Doesn't mean much. Aphromoo now puts the shield up, gets chunked down to 1/4. A lot of Ren stacks in him as well, but no way in yet for Wild Turtle. Not quite the knockdown to 60, but it zones the team back. Now's the engage. Wild Turtle taking a ton of damage, and in goes the team, but they just can't kill him. There's too much healing and too many shields. And there's the collapse. There's 4 kills. They might make it 5. Stixxay running for his life, dodging everything he possibly can. Wild Turtle has dodged this, rends him to death. The ace for Immortals, and the game is gonna go to them. CLG down to 4-3. Immortals 7-0.